Thank you. Very small children would come forward.
Where's our Crab Orchard students for the pledge?
Oh, cool.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Start us off.
Go ahead.
So with us tonight from Crab Orchard is Colton Ricketts. Gage Kimmer.
Thanks, guys.
Hold up a minute, guys. Let her choose your picture.
It's a photo op. Good job. I would like to take this moment and this opportunity to tell everyone that is in our audience how much we appreciate you being here, you taking an interest in our district and in our children's education. So from this board, thank you very much for being here.
Yes.
I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Stepp, and he's going to introduce our Kids First recognition.
So we would like to start recognizing people that truly show interest and help make a big difference in students' lives. We're going to call it the Kids First Award, and it's for those that have shown exceptional selfless service to our kids of Cumberland County schools. We had 2 people that we chose, and they want to stay anonymous. So this is kind of like the CIA. You'll hear about it, but you don't know who it was. So I will visit with them next week and hand them their plaques. But we're going to begin this process. Principals, community members can nominate different people for whatever great thing they're doing with the children or have been doing with the children, and we'll recognize those people each month. There'll be someone chosen each month for this award. So again, that's the Kids First Award for exceptional selfless service to our kids of Cumberland County. So we're super excited about that.
Thank you. Special recognition, Mr. Stepp.
Okay, tonight we had 4 people on here. Miss Tara Davis is at the National FFA Convention with her kids, doing awesome things like she always does. So we're going to ask her to come back in December, but she's doing amazing things with FFA. And then next with us tonight, let's have Mr. John Hall come forward. As everyone has seen, Mr. Hall is a CCHS aviation teacher, former principal. Congratulations to you, John. He was selected as a community influencer by the Blue Angels. He had a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to ride in the F-18 with them on September 7th. So please help us congratulate him on this honor. Great job.
He won't say this, but John was very influential in getting our jet restored.
Yes.
Awesome.
And has put in
Just a part of a big committee.
many hours in doing so.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
And next, let's have Miss Cindy Minyard. So come on up. So I had the honor to go to Murfreesboro along with a lot of her colleagues and family members who love everything she does with our kids. She is a Crab Orchard physical education teacher, but she's been chosen by the Tennessee Association of Health, Physical Education, Recreation, and Dance as the statewide Teacher of the Year. She's done some awesome, amazing things, so congratulations for representing.
Amen.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
And next, another awesome group of people. So our cafeteria managers, step on up. Come on up here. This is exciting. We have Terry Ann Lee from Cumberland County High School, Jennifer Lansford from Crab Orchard, Connie Haney from Homestead,
Come and
Ashley
stand.
Phipps from Pleasant Hill, and Megan Goucher from Phoenix. Every one of these cafeteria managers with their team had perfect health inspection scores for this year. Y'all do a great job, and I've already talked to Miss Hamby. We're going to have a biscuit and gravy cook-off with you guys. I think I've had it at every school now, man. I think there's a lot of fun in that. So great job, ladies. We appreciate you guys.
Okay, ladies. I'm gonna throw biscuits and chocolate.
Oh, there you go.
Yes, biscuits and chocolate
Yep,
gravy.
there we go.
Okay, who's got that? Because that's the school we're going to.
So thank you to each of you for a great job.
Yes. Thank you so much. Now we're going to do a roll call. Elizabeth Stoll. Here. Robbie Safety is not present tonight he is still not feeling well. Sherry Nichols.
Here.
Anita Hale. Here. Nick Davis.
Here.
Chris King.
Here.
Becky Hamby.
Here.
Shannon Stout.
Here.
And Miss Boston is here, so we're all accounted for except for Mr. Safety. I'm recognizing our student. She is the Lone Ranger tonight. Miss Megan Maleka.
Maleka.
Thank
That's
you.
good.
From CCHS, and she's here representing as a student board member.
Awesome.
And if you have anything that you want to throw in, raise your hand. Certainly wanting to hear and to listen.
Yeah. Good job.
Impressive volleyball season, too. So
Okay.
watching some of those games. It's good.
Mr. Patton, our conflict.
In Tennessee Code Annotated Title 49, Chapter 2, Section 202 defines relative as a spouse, parent, parent-in-law, child, son-in-law, daughter-in-law, grandparent, grandchild, brother, sister, uncle, aunt, nephew, niece, or any person that resides in the same household as you. Each of you that have such a relative employed by the school system, please raise your right hand. Do you hereby certify that the votes that you make tonight will be in the best interest of the Cumberland County school system, regardless of the effect that your vote may have upon the employment of your relatives? I do.
Absolutely.
Let the record reflect all affirmative.
Thank you. The appointment of delegates for the TSBA convention. Let me explain this briefly, and then we can take volunteers. We can nominate you if we have no volunteers. Each year, TSBA is very vocal, very active in legislature, on the Hill. Several laws that are in the pipeworks, things that they support. We have the opportunity when we're in Nashville at our conference to send delegates. These delegates actually get to vote on what TSBA, whether we support what they're doing, whether we don't support what they're doing. It's a wonderful experience. So if you have any interest in legislature, then it's probably for you. So I mean, we can take volunteers. Anita went last year for the first time, and I'm glad we had her, because she had a teacher's point of view on some legislature that was actually being supported by TSBA. And so Anita was quite helpful in explaining that to us. So I'll take volunteers. We have 3 with 1 alternate. And the floor is open. Shannon wants to go, Anita wants to go,
I'll volunteer.
and Sherry.
Trouble is making me.
Shannon, Anita, and Sherry.
We need an alternate.
We
Miss
need an
Elizabeth
alternate.
has her hand
And
up.
Elizabeth. Okay, Miss Diane, so we can submit that tomorrow? Or,
Yeah, tomorrow.
perfect. You ladies will enjoy it. Yes. You really will.
I'm sure. I'll report back to that.
Next on the agenda is the approval of September minutes.
Move to approve.
Okay, both or just?
Both together.
Both, okay. We have a motion
Second.
and we have a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay, minutes are approved. We have got approval of the agenda. I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Miss Elizabeth, second. So we have a motion to approve the agenda. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Thank you. Next on the agenda is the acknowledgement of elected officials. And Miss Mull, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Colleen Mull is our 9th District County Commissioner and very active, I think, with education. And for that, we appreciate it. No community comments tonight. School board reports, Ms. Stout, TLN.
Yes. Well, I thought tonight would be a good opportunity to report on something that's created a lot of conversation over the last week, and that's the CDC vote last Thursday, where they voted 15-0 to add most COVID-19 vaccinations offered in the U.S. to childhood, adolescent, and adult immunization schedules. So every year, the CDC immunization schedules are updated every fall before going into effect the following year, which means that this recommendation is in place for the 2023 school year, and it's available for states which use the CDC recommendations as guidance for school entry requirements. And their vote formalizes recommendations that the CDC has already been making regarding the COVID vaccinations. We've been hearing this, but the vote finalized that. For individuals ages 6 months and older. So the important takeaway that I wanted the parents and administrators to have on all this is that the COVID vaccination inclusion on the CDC schedule does not constitute mandates for school children which fall under the Tennessee State Department of Health. So in Tennessee, by state law, our Department of Health determines immunization requirements for school entry. They only utilize the CDC schedule as a guide. And in addition, the Tennessee House Bill 9077 and Senate Bill 914, which was signed into law November 10th of last year, states that the federal government cannot mandate COVID vaccinations for any government entity, along with other entities. But we fall under the government entity. Governor Lee has also officially stated that the CDC COVID vaccine recommendation would not be included by the Tennessee Department of Health as a mandated vaccination for school entry. So hopefully that puts to rest some of the questions and concerns that we've been hearing.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
That's interesting. Report from training from board members. I know that some of our new board members spent
All of us went.
and enjoyed, I understand got called down a couple of times maybe. So if anybody would like to share.
And I want to say something, and then y'all need to share I want to say thank you. We were put in a very
Oh, my
great
goodness.
hotel. It was
Thank
amazing.
you. You took good care of
All
us.
the accommodations were amazing. But also, I want to say I'm not a new board member, but I got to go to the orientation because I was reelected, and a lot of things have changed over the 4 years. It was amazing. I learned a lot of new things, and I will let one of y'all tell what you learned.
It was a lot of information over the 2 days that we were there, and definitely thankful to be able to go, and definitely learned a lot. More than I expected to learn, that's for sure.
And we were just scratching the surface, really.
Oh, you
I mean, we've got a big old book that we just skimmed the surface on that we'll have to take time to dig into a little bit more. But I was encouraged. It's a very large class, one of the largest I guess they've had in a while. About 90 new school board members
know,
there.
we had a lot of turnover.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of enthusiasm, a wide range of backgrounds, just like we've got on the board here. So it was very exciting to see that.
It was encouraging to see that.
It was.
Yeah, I agree. It was an amazing, pretty much a Q&A. It felt like for the bulk of it, they give you a really detailed booklet to kind of say, hey, this is the way things have been done and what you can lean on. So you can almost flip through a manual and say, hey, has this came up, and then how do you apply that? So a lot of resources in that booklet as well. Very well done.
And good to get to know some of the folks at the TSBA, so we know who to reach out to if we have questions or concerns.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it was nice. Ben did the legal part of it, and wow, extremely informative. And a lot of things that you can't talk about. We have a shirt we're going to say it's going to be called "Don't Be an Andy," and he was the one that was talking about all the things in public places that he shouldn't have been talking about. I said we need a shirt, "Don't Be an Andy." But it was great, and I came to appreciate Mr. Stepp even more because we heard some stories. I mean, of course, they're not saying names or anything, but they said some stories about some of the things that they're dealing with in their districts, and I was like, "Oh, we're so blessed."
Yes.
So I come to appreciate you even better.
And all of our teachers and all of our administrators, because we
gosh,
are
the
leaps and
job.
bounds in areas above what several of the other school
Yeah.
systems are. So
And a lot of what they talked about is what we want to do, is having that relationship with the principals, having the relationship with the teachers, knowing that the kids come first, working unity on the board. That was really going around the room in full circle. And a lot of them were like us. They had multiple members that had been replaced on the board. And they're saying that COVID just wore people out. So a lot of people went off and a lot of people came on. So I'm excited.
So do we now have the reputation as rowdy Cumberland County?
We kind of
Our
do.
table,
There was
listen.
a couple of times
I was
that
good.
they said it's the Cumberland County group.
I kept going,
It was Nick's fault. It's all me.
we were very interactive.
we were very interactive, yes.
We were.
And that's what we want.
We were, yes.
Well, I'm
It was good.
I'm excited that
Very
that y'all
informative, yeah.
got that
I'm
experience.
looking for to November.
And-
It's going to be amazing.
You just keep learning.
Yeah,
Trust me.
yeah, it's awesome.
do.
Stretching, but it's good.
Teresa, I had one other thing I want to mention too. It wasn't formal training, but I had the opportunity to attend the CTE fall meeting last Thursday evening that the board members were invited to. And I thank Dr. Maddox for including us in that because that was a great learning experience for me to meet a lot of our CTE instructors and hear about the program and see the excitement and all the good things that are coming with it. So it was great to attend
I
that.
look forward to the reschedule of the tour that you
Yes.
I look forward.
Yeah, me too.
Absolutely. It'll be exciting.
When I first came on the board, CTE was taking a pendulum swing back into education. It had taken a little bit of a break, and it was coming back. And to see where it is now compared to where it was when I started is amazing.
Awesome.
So it is just amazing. Thank you.
Good.
Mr. Patton, legal report.
Yes, ma'am. There's no new litigation, and there have been no significant developments in litigation that I've advised you about previously, so we'll probably have some more to report next month.
You have just such an easy job. We like this. Except those random phone calls.
Yeah, exactly.
We are now at the director's report. Mr. Stepp?
Thank you. So this evening, we're going to start out. I'd like to introduce and ask Mr. Robert Valerio to come up to the podium. He is with the Cumberland Prevention Coalition, and it's been an honor for him to invite me onto the board along with several other community members. But he is here to answer any questions on the Tennessee Together student survey that they conduct with our schools. So you can, if you'd like to come over to the podium.
Around behind, yeah.
But thank you so much for coming tonight, sir.
No, thank you for having me. Never been to one of these before. Yeah, like Mr. Stepp said, I'm Robert Valerio, and I'm the executive director of the Cumberland Prevention Coalition, which is the anti-drug coalition of Cumberland County. And I do want to, for those that are new or those that are not familiar with the survey, just give you a couple facts about it. First of all, it has a history in Cumberland County. In 2018 and 2020, school-wide, students took this survey. This is Cumberland County's results from 2020, which is available to any of you if you'd like. The data that's collected, it's a survey of 8th, 10th, and 12th graders. And it's used to assess the extent of alcohol, drug, nicotine use, and the use of vaping devices, along with the risk factors associated with that, such as the ease of access to these substances, their perception of risk, and their parental attitudes. They added questions this year that's different from the survey in 2020 regarding suicidal ideation type questions. In case you're unaware, in 2020, the CDC just announced that suicide was the second leading cause of death between kids aged 10 to 14. So they added suicide questions on there this year. What is the data used for? It is used to provide people like myself and other social services agencies, people that serve children, with community level data, and guides our prevention efforts. I'll give you an example. 33% of the students surveyed in 2020 said that they had either easy or very easy access to prescription medications. Only 1% of them said that they had a prescription for them. The data says that about 40% of them stole them from someone's house. So we use that data. This Saturday we'll be with local law enforcement to do the DEA's National Drug Take Back Day to get them out of homes if they're not using them. And then the coalition provides lock boxes for those who need them for free so they can lock them up. So we use it for that. The majority of the survey goes around individual substances and their use. It tracks three things. One is a lifetime use. So they ask that question, have you ever tried marijuana, for example? Then we'll ask them their age of initiation. When is the first time that you used? And then it'll ask them about frequency by saying, how many times in the past 30 days have you used? So it kind of gives us an idea. We compare that data against the others in our region, the state, and nationally to kind of see if there's a trend, either up and down, and again, helps us focus. Who gets to see the data? It is released only to the coalition and to anybody designated by Mr. Stepp. When we talked about doing it this year, I promised him that that we would not release any data unless that was approved. In the past, they've approved a full release, a full transparency of the data, and so we used it, published it, and I said we make it available for the community. Some facts about it, it's funded by the Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services, but it's done by a private company that this is their business, is to do these school surveys. It's called EMT Associates. They're out of Nashville. There's no cost to schools to do the survey. If there were any printing costs involved with that, the coalition would cover that. The data that's released here is a composite of all of the Cumberland County schools, again, 8th, 10th, and 12th graders. It does not give individual school data, even though that data is available if someone wants it. I've never personally requested data down to that level, but it is available if someone wants to request it. Caregivers, parents can opt out, can opt their kids out of the survey. It is not mandatory by any means. And kids themselves can opt themselves out and also refuse to answer 1, 2, or any questions that they don't feel comfortable with. Those instructions are given at the beginning of the survey. It is anonymous. There are no names collected. No one has access to any of the students' name. And it takes about 15 minutes. I know time is such an issue in all the schools. It takes about 15 minutes to complete the survey. Let me just end by saying this is very essential data that we have here. We've got a great partnership with the school system here. Obtaining this data in the past is what allowed our coalition to receive a grant from the CDC, the Drug Free Communities Grant last year. We have other data sets, but this was the key data. They do ask us to collect 4 key measures, and this survey provides it. Those key measures are past 30-day use of substances, ease of access, perception of risk, and then also the parental communications. Have your parents ever spoken to you about the dangers of vaping? Things like that. So it provides that data. Thank you for allowing me to speak. Hopefully they'll pass this day. Like I said, it's essential to people like us to kind of help us to concentrate on what I believe is Cumberland County's #1 problem, which is substance abuse. Covenant Medical Center, Cumberland Medical Center's community needs assessment confirms that. For the third straight time they've taken it, adolescent substance abuse was considered the #1 problem in Cumberland County. So thank you very much for hearing me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Valero.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, move
sir.
to approve the use of the survey.
I'll second that.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to approve the Tennessee Together Student Survey. Any discussion?
Yes.
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
on the board of directors for the coalition. Do I have any conflict of interest if I vote yes on this?
I wouldn't, I mean, you have to make that decision.
I don't think I do. We need to have this. I just want to do it, but
Yeah.
no. Okay.
Okay,
I just wanted to mention that.
okay, sure. Any further discussion? No. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Survey is approved. Mr. Stitt?
Next survey is a Vanderbilt survey that's been ongoing for several years. We go through this process each year. The Tennessee Voluntary Pre-K Longitudinal Study. So this is something we've done every year.
I'm gonna make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Where does the data go that we do this survey?
Goes through Vanderbilt. The case study's all through Vanderbilt.
Okay, that's, okay, never mind.
Did we do this last year?
Yes, we did.
I
We do
thought
this
We've done it for
yearly.
several years.
I thought we had, okay.
I think it has the dates on there when we've done it.
Any discussion? Having no discussion, the motion is to approve the Tennessee Volunteer Pre-K study. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, thank you, ladies.
Next is the Cumberland County Schools K-12 Career Connections Framework. So this is a foundational strategic plan on career exploration, pushing all the way down to kindergarten. We personalized it for Cumberland County Schools. Some strategies we already do, and some are new. But this is to get the students thinking earlier and earlier about getting to high school, what career technical education where you want to be in, dual enrollment, younger kids even at the elementary level, going on campuses and seeing things early on instead of the primary push being 7th and 8th grade. So we're actually using it as part of our K-12 curriculum.
I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
So we have a motion to approve the Cumberland County Career Connections Framework draft. Any discussion?
Okay, so these things would be introduced in the at the elementary level?
Yeah, it's broken out K-5, 6-8, and 9-12. So there's some strategies and activities that kind of show some of the things that we can do at each level, just for more exploration by the students, awareness, moving towards. Obviously, our ultimate goal is the ready graduates, ready to move either on to college or career. So just a lot more exposure and education.
The earlier the better,
Yes, ma'am.
for them to see what's going on and what choices they can make.
Yes, ma'am.
Did we have this framework before?
Not that I'm aware of. We had a lot of strategies people are
But we didn't
employing.
have it,
Not like this. no.
okay, thank you. Because I did not remember seeing
Yeah, I think in the past,
anything this detailed.
I think in the past we've had like people come to the classroom or from the community and do like little workshops or have little lesson plans and stuff along with the teacher. Because I remember doing something about that in 4th grade, that we did that, and the children loved it. I had somebody come from a printing company, and we did a little 3 or 4 weeks things that I had to help make lessons with. So it was interesting. I think it's good for them to get it early.
Quick question.
Yes, sir.
As far as the intent to make an impact through the K through 5 grades, probably, how many touches, and there's several bullet points that speak to what are the intentions to try to bring this career mindset to the kids. How many touches would you imagine that is between K and 5? Like, how many times would they be introduced to this type of additional framework or curriculum?
So that's up to elementary principals. We're all going to work together on how to use this framework the best. They're already doing a great job, the teachers and the principals at the elementary. So this just gives us a little more structure, but they're already doing a lot of these things. So this would be a development with the principals. They're the experts. They got the expert teachers. So we would develop a full strategic plan of this with them. So this is a starting point, I guess, is the best way to put it.
Gotcha. So you'd be working with the principals to I guess, outline their yearly approach to,
Yes, sir.
to making this framework palatable.
Yes, sir.
Is there any expense to be concerned about in addition to what we're already kind of doing?
Transportation costs probably.
Okay. Worth it.
Yeah, I know I had a parent speak to me that she gets to go to BizTown.
BizTown
She was
was amazing.
excited about
Yeah.
that
Awesome.
with her child.
They already do a lot of great things in elementary. This document is by no means saying they're not doing lots of great things. It's just something to adopt by the county.
Just giving us another avenue and choices.
Okay, so the motion and second on the floor is to approve the Cumberland County School Career Connections Framework draft. If no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Mr. Stair?
Next on the agenda is a job description for the Deputy Director of Operations that was on the organizational chart that was approved.
Madam Chair, move
Sir?
to approve 16D.
Okay.
I just have one question. Just to be clear, it is an additional position as opposed to the 912/CTE.
That is.
Yes,
the-
this is on the operational side of the chart. So on the right side, this is that top position.
Apologies.
It's a new position.
That'll be the same answer on the next one.
I was
too.
gonna say, I'll fast forward.
It's all good, sir.
That's forward thinking right there.
And I have a question. When you're looking at the,
Well, can we get do we have a second?
We haven't had a second yet.
Then we need to get one so we can
I'll
discuss.
say,
I'll second it.
We have
Okay,
Thank you.
to
okay.
discuss.
okay, so
So
now.
we have a first and we have a second. Ms. Handy?
Okay, whenever you look at the, requirements for the job, and it's saying that it is a non-certified position, my question is, why would it be a non-certified position? Okay, like, your position as the director, you had to have administration certified. In my thoughts, the deputy director should also come out of having experience in the school system in order to, because, I mean, even though most of their stuff is operational,
Business operation.
it is still involving our kids. So that's my question. Why would we not require a certified instead of,
It could be a certified position. A lot of these positions, as you look from school systems, are sometimes either engineers or project manager or business people that understand the scope and sequence of operations and business, and they're running that within a school system. I can give you, my best example is one of the guys in my unit, he's over operations in Montgomery County Schools, and he's an engineer. He never worked in schools until he got that job. So that he understands scope and sequence of all the operational side, and that as an engineer, project manager, that whole side. But it can be if there's a person out there that does have a teacher certification, that experience, that can have that for sure. Of course, I'm gonna do whatever the board decides.
it's just concerning to me because, I mean, we have mentioned many times, the kids are what are important. If you have someone, I mean, even though this is more operational, they're not as hands-on with the students as you per se. I still feel like they should have an understanding of how the school system operates. And in order to do that, then you need to be a certified teacher, work through administration, whatever. So that was my concern.
The question with being certified, if you look at our organizational chart, I think Mr. Davis, they are more, the deputy director would be supervising more of literally our business side
Yeah.
of the school, and the CAO kind of has the educational side of it. And
I do understand that, it's just, I don't know.
well, and I had a question. It states that they will evaluate all departmental supervisors. But I'm assuming that only indicates the direct supervisors that he is over.
Yeah, like
He, she, whatever.
as notated in the org chart.
Okay, that was my question, because you
But I can
can't-
only delegate authority. The responsibility is still mine on both sides of the chart. So,
That's good.
My question was, why do we feel the need for this? I know that we approve this, but why would you need a deputy director when you are the director and you should be over these? So why do we need somebody? I mean, why do you feel like you need somebody to help you out with this?
absolutely. So my comparison would be, we have a CAO, second in command, on the side of academics that I work directly with daily. And the acting CAO right now is Dr. Farley, who's doing an amazing job. I also would like the same process on the operational side for consistency in the actual running of the county system. So it's a very large budget. It's a large organization with a lot of employees. So we want to make sure we're as efficient as possible in running ours so that we save money. So we have that option to be very efficient and accountable.
But this is a new position.
Yes, ma'am.
Any further discussion? I'm going to go ahead and do a roll call vote on this. Ms. Stout?
Yes.
Ms. Hamby?
Yes, with reservations.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Ms. Hale?
Yes, with reservations.
Ms. Nichols?
Yes.
Mr. Safety? Ms. Stoll?
Yes.
And Ms. Boston votes yes.
Can I say one thing?
Yes, ma'am.
I think the position is needed, very much needed. My reservations is the non-certified and certified, but that I can work through. So I just wanted to clarify why I was having reservations.
I can actually, I get it. Not that that matters whether I get it or not, but I get it. Okay, Mr. Step?
Next is CTE Director job description. This is a massive job, as we probably saw at the dinner. There's a whole lot that goes into CTE through federal monies, projects, accountability, compliance. It's a big job, and it's a job for one person. So I would like to go back to where the county had this before, where there's a CTE person and a secondary supervisor person. Because that's a whole lot of work and for one person to do, especially with the extent of the CTE side and where we're going with the Innovative Schools Model Grant. I mean, there's a lot there that needs to get done. And once again, this is an efficiency, effectiveness, accountability side that I really want to shore up. Not that I'm not splitting this job because anyone's not doing a good job. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying one person focusing just on this is really what we need with the way CTE is going now.
I'm gonna make a motion that we approve the job description.
Second?
So we have a motion and a second to create the CTE Director job description. the CTE is a new position according to our job descriptions, which is now in place. Somewhere along the line, they got combined. And Mr. Stepp is proposing that we separate them once again. And is there any discussion? Any further discussion?
Who's doing the job now?
Dr. Maddox.
Dr. Maddox
Dr. Maddox,
is doing both jobs.
and is doing a great job at it. I mean, I wonder, do you feel overwhelmed? I mean, I don't know if I could ask this. Do you feel?
The answer is yes.
Do you feel overwhelmed?
Well, CTE is just gonna keep getting larger and larger.
Growing.
It's gonna be more than one person
progressive.
can handle.
Yeah.
With being the supervisor of 9 through 12.
And that's the goal of the framework that we passed earlier, is getting those students ready for these opportunities in the high school. And instead of being at 37% ready graduates, which you'll hear later in the data thing, we want to get it to 100% if we can. I mean, that's the goal, is every child is independent and ready seamlessly to go either into the workforce, higher education, entrepreneurial, you name it.
Yeah.
So all this is working together. So this is all kind of a combination of efforts of a foundation I'm trying to set so that we can move forward very progressively.
It's good.
Any further discussion?
Just one question.
Yes, sir.
On this organizational chart that we approved, if we're looking at just bullet boxes of blue and the identification of what the positions are, you know, you listed pre-K, 9 through 12 / CTE. There's two different boxes, continuous learning, a different box. And at the bottom, we've got SPED / 504 / RTI. Is there an intent that those would be three separate positions at some point in time, or like this one, or we just hyphenating?
So that's a really big answer to that question.
Okay.
So let me
That's Nick.
put it this way. RTI and SPED together, RTI is not made to push kids into SPED. So having that with under the same person, the SPED director, I feel is a little bit of a conflict. But eventually, if we get to that point, we will need an RTI coordinator. But that needs to be pulled out of the SPED route. That's not, it shouldn't really be associated with SPED. RTI, response to intervention, is skill-based intervention at every grade level. There's minimum requirements, and the focus is to get the students pulled back to grade level, not go the other way. So that's where, I'll leave it at that. We could talk about that all night.
No, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Another question, you said at one time this was separated,
At one time it
Yes.
was separated.
I
and then
think-
it was put together?
Yeah, I think Mr. King was the receiver of the smush it together and you get to do it job. He could probably,
Lucky you.
It was a mistake then. It needs to be fixed.
Oh, okay, thank you for that
Well, you would,
information.
I mean, Mr. King would know. That's personal experience.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. The job description for the CTE director has been approved.
in the secondary 9-12, this is just where we pulled those apart and separated them. It's very similar to the job duties that, well, they are what they already have to perform now in addition to CTE, so we just made two separate position descriptions.
I'll make a motion, we approve this.
Second.
Okay, so we have a first and a second, a motion and a second to approve the secondary 9-12 supervisor job description. Is there any discussion? No discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? It has been approved. Mr. Stepp?
So the next item, I'm not going to go line by line with this. I just want to show you the State Department. We did a level 3 monitoring this year. It's been over several months. People in this office have been downloading documents till their eyes are crossed to get into the State Department. They go through every bit of our federal programs and everything else. What you're looking at, if it has a one red dot, that means that we were out of compliance, and it'll show descriptions on what they're asking us to do throughout this sheet after you get past the first 2 pages. So it's all kinds of things. A lot of it they fixed while the team was here. Some of it has deadlines where we'll have to have a meeting and then document that, and then that covers it. But everything will be online and in compliant with the State Department no later than February 1. So this is where they've gone through, and you can read through each one of them. One sample that I want to show you of something that we'll have to do, we'll probably work through budget committee. I think it's what Ms. Boston had suggested. But one example is like on page 6, the top block, we were not compliant. So the federal programs position, that's Dr. Wittenbarger, is paid through consolidated admin, which does not allow him, during that time he's being paid to work in federal programs, to also do ESSER. There's a separate compliance issue with ESSER. So what they've suggested is it's possible to give him a stipend, and he has to keep a timesheet that shows when he's working on ESSER so that there's a separation of those monies. Does that make sense to everyone? So that's an example that'll go through the committee process. So that was something that we found out and we have to fix. So there's a deadline on fixing it too. So each one of the items that we were not in compliance, as I said, are either already in compliance right now or will be by February 1.
That needs to be voted.
You can, yes.
I'll make a motion, we approve that.
Now, who's
Monitoring.
working on this?
This whole building.
The whole deal.
Everybody, everyone, including principals, has helped us a lot with this. They chose certain schools that they actually went in hands-on, looked through all their stuff, had to load up a bunch of things from those schools also. So they're wanting to make sure they do a full in-house review of everything that we do. It was very extensive. Last year they did what's called desktop monitoring. So they did it where we uploaded documents and sent it to them, but this year they came out to us.
I'll second Ms. Hamby's motion to approve. Any discussion? Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Oh, excuse
Just
me.
had one question.
Yes, sir.
We're voting on making the change?
No, we're voting on the monitoring results and being in compliance, coming back
That's
into
on our
compliance.
annual calendar that we have to, I'm a required accountability to you. I thought this was a good way to show compliance.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. Are we clear what we were voting on?
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Thank you.
So next is part of our accountability presentation. I'd like our acting CAO, Dr. Farley, is going to come up and work through the data. Of course, I sent a narrative to the board before the State Department made the data public, and it was a narrative just to explain the bigger picture. So she's going to drill it down to a little bit more detailed as far as Cumberland County as a whole.
So thank you for allowing me to do this. If you will go to the next slide, please. So there's 2 parts in accountability. You have growth, which is called TVOS, and you also have achievement data. Mr. Stepp has sent some of this information out to you when the data was released, so some of it will look familiar to you. We also look at annual measurable objectives, which are called AMOs. And unfortunately, we look at chronic absenteeism. So growth, as I said, is TVOS, Tennessee Value Added Assessment, and our growth was much lower this year than most districts. It was a 1 out of 5. Typically in Cumberland County, we do see high growth because our growth tends to be higher than our achievement because our students are growing to get to that next achievement level. So we can say that in Cumberland County, most of our subjects, math and English, all grade levels showed some growth in the academic achievement. And this is students that met or exceeded expectations on TCAP. So here is all subjects, all grades, and all students. So this is 3 through 12. And you can see our ELA, I think it says 34.6. 34.1, sorry, I can't see it from here. Compared to the state rate was 36%. In math, the state was at 30, but Cumberland County was 32.9. So, and I don't have state scores for science or social studies. But as you can see, we maintained for science and we grew just a little bit from last year in social studies. So a chronically absent student is a student who misses 10% of the school year, and that's 18 days. And it doesn't matter if those absences are excused or unexcused. Bless you. They count against us either way. So here is our percentage. It increased from 15.6 to 17.3. I hate to say, but unfortunately we were still feeling a little bit of pinch from COVID and some of the guidelines that the state did establish.
Other than some of the COVID guidelines, any other reasoning we're attaching to it increasing? Or just the fact that we have this rate of chronically absent?
And I hate to say this because I'm so over it, but I fully blame the guidelines in which were established with COVID and the amount of absences students were allowed.
What were we running percentage-wise before COVID? Do y'all know?
Anywhere, I think, between 13 to 15%.
Okay.
Wow, what a difference.
I feel like we're gonna feel the effects of that for a while.
I'm hoping not this year because there have been some changes that has been made for our attendance reporting, so I'm hoping to see that go down. Plus, chronic absenteeism is something that our principals work on every day. And also with TISA coming up, we are beginning to work on that, especially with the attendance piece.
That's such an important factor.
Absolutely.
And we have some community support for that also at the high schools. It's called Keys to Success, is that correct?
Yes.
Through Dave Kirk. So something I don't think I've ever seen is the raffle drawing for a car at the end of the year for those that have met the attendance requirements. So yeah, that's pretty, 19 years I think now.
Yes.
So that's a pretty amazing thing. So we're hoping to continue that and add some more successful stuff.
What, do you have some framework, since we're using framework as a reference, but do we have some framework for what we're doing to help with the attendance?
So when students miss so many days, in a lot of schools, I can tell you what they do. When students miss a day, someone in the school calls, whether it's the classroom teacher or the attendance clerk or a principal. Someone calls the student. We have lots of principals that will make home visits, especially if it's a habitual absentee student. They will go to the house and get them. Make sure they're okay, and if they can come to school, they'll bring them to school. So there's lots of things that we're doing. If they miss, they have a Tier 1 attendance meeting where they meet with the student and talk to them about their absenteeism. After so many more absences, they talk to the parent, which is a Tier 2 meeting, and all of that is documented. And when we get to a certain level, that's when they are cited to truancy court.
And that's required by, that's a whole system required by law.
Right.
Very specific.
Yeah, I guess my question's similar to yours. What can we do to incentivize them that we can control outside of the state or Dave Kirk or COVID guidelines currently?
And each school does different things. I know one school, they announce those rooms with perfect attendance. They announce their percentage every day. They have competitions for the best hallway attendance. Also do that for the staff as well. So each individual school just kind of, does what works for them. So, a suggestion to you all might be to reach out to the school in which you represent and see what they need or see what might benefit them.
That's good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So this is grades 3 through 8, and this is our percentage of students that met or exceeded expectations. And this is in English language arts. And as you can see, the 21-22 column is higher in grades 3 through 8. Okay, the next one. Next, we have math, and again, in all grade levels except 8th. Our scores were higher last year than the previous year. Next. Science, a little bit up and down there. We haven't had new science textbooks in a while, nor have we had updated science standards. So we're kind of staying status quo there with our science. Social studies is only tested in grades 6 through 12. And social studies, again, that 8th grade is a little bit lower, but 6th and 7th better or holding their own. And here's chronic absenteeism for grades K through 8. And you can see those percentages there. And see that the 2021 is more normal for what we were pre-pandemic. Next. And here's 9 through 12. And here's all tested subjects. And you can see that's English 1, English 2, Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, Biology, and U.S. History. And you can see we're kind of up and down a little bit there. Next slide, please. Both English 1 and English 2 were higher last year than the previous year. And English tends to be stronger compared to our math, which is next. And there's our percentages for Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2. Holding our own. Science, the only EOC is Biology, and we were a little bit lower last year than the previous year. And finally is U.S. History. And we were a little bit lower last year than the previous year as well. Chronic absenteeism for grades 9 through 12. High school tends to be higher in a chronic absentee, especially 12th grade. Our graduation rate, I think we skipped this. Okay, no, we didn't. Sorry. Graduation rate. So we have our Ready Grad. We did fall back from 40.7 to 34.4. And a Ready graduate meets one of 4 requirements. They have a composite ACT score of 21. They have completed 4 early post-secondary opportunities, which is a dual credit advanced placement class, and that can be through a community college or TCAT. They have completed an industry certification and 2 post-secondary opportunities, or they have a score of 31 on the ASVAB, which is the military aptitude test, and completed 2 EPSOs, or early post-secondary opportunities. So we slipped down on that just a little bit. And one thing that we are doing countywide to address that is, I know the high schools and Mr. Stepp is working on some ACT prep, and we're working hard to get that ACT score up to 21. So this is our graduation rate. It did fall a little bit from 2021 to 21-22.
On the areas that we are seeing a downtrend from last school year, what are we doing? What do we have in place to identify the reason for the downtrend? This is kind of a 2-part, the reason for the downtrend, and what are we doing to help with that?
Okay, so a lot of times when that data is drilled down, it's drilled down at the school level, because all 12 schools are very different with very different personalities. You know, we can come up with broad reasons here, but it's better to drill down at the school level. As I said, Mr. Stepp and the high school principals are working on ACT classes to help hopefully bring up the ACT score. We're also working on benchmarks. That's something we haven't done in a long time in Cumberland County. We have them currently in place in ELA and math for grades 1 through 8, and we are working on high school right now. They will be tested every 4.5 weeks, and that will be standards-based, so we'll get an idea of what standards that students may be struggling with before the autopsy or final test. And hopefully starting at the next board meeting, we will be able to give you benchmark data and let you know when our students take that and how they're performing on that. We also are working with some state networks. We're working with the Early Literacy Network, working with grades K through 2. We're working with the Literacy Implementation Network, and that's K through 8. We're working with a math implementation grant, which is 6 through 12, working on some of those math issues and developing ideas for a new math textbook adoption. And we also have implemented, as Mr. Stepp likes to say, a slow roll of the instructional practice guides, which we are working with in our our learning walks with the instructional coaches, and looking at student engagement, and that's done with the admin at the schools.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Question. Interventionist through ESSER. Do we see that program is assisting, is helping? I mean, are we seeing any results from?
I'm not quite sure how many schools were able to be able to fill those positions. I do know that we still have a lot filled. And as far as the individual data, what we could do is when we do our analysis of the benchmarks, we could break those students that receive ESSER interventionist help out and look and see. But until that point, I would not be able to tell you that.
Are these numbers alarming to you?
No. No.
Why? They're kids.
And again, I hate to say this, but COVID, you know, it was nothing to have kids to miss 20 days and be diagnosed with COVID 6 times last year, and that was allowed. And if kids are not in school, we can't teach them. So they're dinging us for chronic absenteeism, and they're not going to be able to meet the expectations of the grade level. So unfortunately, no, they're not surprising. And if you stop and think, we're just a little bit below the state with our ELA, and we're above the state in math. Typically, in the 23 years I've been here, Cumberland County normally tests higher in math. So that was a little bit shocking to see that. But again, I think unfortunately it goes back to COVID. And I hate to say that because I hate to make excuses.
Do you see a way with all the things that we're doing to try to fix this? Do you see it getting better?
Absolutely. But is it going to get better like this? No, it's going to take time. And one really exciting thing is the state has adopted new mathematics standards. And this time, they've got the standards, and now we're going to get new textbooks, hopefully, to match those standards. Instead of the last time when we got new math textbooks, and then they adopted new math standards. So we've kind of got it in progression this time. So I'm excited to see that, and we are already doing some work on getting ready for those math standards and selecting a textbook.
Other than some of the resources that I know are available to parents, what are we doing to enroll the parents or families of the children that are struggling?
To enroll the families?
Yeah, in the process of helping with bringing them up and making them aware of where they are and then bringing them up.
So the first 9 weeks, or at the midpoint when progress reports went home, students' TCAP reports were included, so they have that. We are sending out a weekly parent newsletter, and that had information for the parents to go on the TCAP portal.
Yeah.
So that was on there. We've also sent some information, pretty general information, home regarding the third grade retention. And then with the first 9-week report card, we did send home notifying families if their children were kind of already falling behind. And most schools by now have held their first parent-teacher conferences as well.
Okay.
And another great thing that's going on this year that we haven't had in the last few years, all 9 of our elementary schools are having before and after school tutoring through the 21st Century Learning Program. So that's very exciting.
That's great.
It is.
That is great.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Dr. Farley.
Thank you so
you.
much.
Next is the dual enrollment agreement that we have with Roane State that we sign each year for your approval.
We don't have
Oh,
to.
you don't have to approve that, so it's for your awareness. Thank you. And next, I would like to recognize a couple of our board members that have reached the level of the Boardsmanship Program Award. So to encourage the professional growth of school board members, TSBA offers Certified Board Member Awards and a Master Board Member Award to members who invest their time and effort into becoming more informed and more effective school board members. The award is given for participation in activities outside of local school board obligations. There are 5 levels of recognition, and levels 1 through 4 are recognized during the fall district meeting, and those receiving level 5 Master Board Member are recognized at the annual TSBA convention held each November. So at our fall district meeting this year, the Boardsmanship Awards, Ms. Hamby is at level 3, so congratulations, Ms. Hamby. That's awesome. And Mrs. Boston is at level 4. So great job.
Tackle that.
And there's a lot of requirements to this, so you can kind of see some of them there if you can read that. I can't read it from here, but. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Next is just for your information is the planning calendar. So we are on track. The Student Activity Funds Audit Report that's due in October. Ms. Bray currently have it set up for next week to meet with the auditor so we can complete that compliance on our annual calendar. Next also is a FYI or ward and body count at each grade level and each school for your information. And then next we have any questions? I'm sorry. Okay, so next we have our school nutrition personnel report. And then our certified and classified reports. Then we have our substitute list. And then obviously the newsletters each month. The calendar of events for you.
I have to say, I'm very impressed with all the newsletters
Yes.
and with them being posted on social media and stuff, because parents now they can see those when they don't make it home.
Yeah.
So they have other resources.
Our
So
principals are doing an awesome job.
yes, they are.
Yes, they are.
Thank
Yes,
you.
they are.
Yes, very much.
I enjoy looking at the newsletters.
And then next we have approval of first reading of policies.
Okay. I'm going to turn that over to Ms. Hamby.
Okay, I left my policy book at home, but I have read over all of these, and all the changes that we had asked to be made in the policy committee meeting were there. So I'm going to ask, instead of going over each one of these one by one, if we could take them all and approve them for second reading.
Are you making a motion that we approve
I
them?
am, and we only need one motion since it came out of committee,
We do
right?
not need a second, yes.
Okay, I'm making a motion that we approve all of these policies that were on the committee meeting for second reading.
For the first read.
For the first reading, I meant.
Okay, the
I'm so
motion
sorry.
is-
I keep seeing the word second right here.
That's
so-
fine. The
sorry.
motion came out of committee policy 1.200, policy 4.210, policy 4.214, policy 4.603, and policy 4.6012 as a first reading.
As a first reading, yes.
Right. Is there any discussion?
I just wanted to ask, when did you have this meeting? Because I usually try and come to the policy.
You were
You were out of town.
Okay, thank you.
We missed you.
I used to,
Need we say more?
I even asked where you were. You were out of town.
Yeah, you were.
You were cruising.
thank you.
I'd like to say, just if it's okay, Madam Chair, one of these policies, the Innovative High School Program Policy, that works in conjunction with the framework and a lot of the direction that we're moving to get more offerings for high school students to get out there and be able to either work-based learning, internships, dual enrollment, you name it. And at the end of that policy, it does have all the state laws that are referenced that cover that innovative type program. This is a brand-new policy for this school board. We haven't had it before.
Right. And all of you, I'm sure, had the opportunity to read the retention, third grade retention, where TSBA made all of the changes in the world. If there's any discussion, any questions? If not, Mr. Davis?
Yeah, I guess just if you could maybe highlight the impact that will have on coming into the end of the year.
On the
You
promotion,
mean the policy,
retention,
the retention?
We don't know.
At this point, until we determine what the third grade retention, what we can do, the opportunities that they've got to cure that deficiency, how the students actually perform, I can't tell you what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I would love to be able to come up with some magical answer.
Yeah.
But I don't have it. Mr. Stamp, magical answers?
No magical answers. We are staying on top of this. That's why we're working on the benchmarks, so we can start keeping up each quarter on where we are and what we're doing, well, twice a quarter almost, so that we can mitigate this as best as we can. They had a summer program. There's a debate on when that's going to be. There's a lot of things that aren't set in stone yet outside of the written law. So we're still getting different information from different organizations on how to support this. They're collecting surveys and collecting data from every school system. So the Tennessee Organization of School Superintendents have already started a huge survey on this, on every county, on how many students would this be, what would be the impact on your personnel, what's the impact on your summer program. A lot of us start our summer program right after the school year is over. We won't have the data by then from the State Department. So there's a lot of things in motion right now that aren't settled for sure outside of the written law.
And this is coming from Nashville.
yes, that
Department.
came from
Yeah, this was
The new legislature.
litigated, yes,
Yeah.
so this is in law now. So now, they passed the law, we gotta figure out how to make it work.
And I
So
do,
that's where we are right now, is figuring out how to make it work. Because I definitely agree with the comment Ms. Stout had earlier when we talked about this. No one here is interested in lowering expectations. We're interested in getting those kids up to grade level, ready to go, so that every grade, that progression happens, so when they get to high school, they can maximize their opportunities with what they've learned.
so this is all new territory for our district.
They only did it because I'm a new board director, so they check their schools, they wanted to
it's all,
have it at.
it's all your fault.
How's it going for you?
I'm having a great time so far. Did I say that right?
So far.
Okay.
So far? Okay, any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Policy passes on first reading.
And we didn't have anything on second reading.
No. Athletic committee, Mr. Davis, would you like to report on the athletic committee?
Sure. We have convened the last two consecutive Wednesdays put together by Mr. Stepp and Countywide Athletic Director Mr. Patton to highlight the topic of governance within our current framework of how we conduct ourselves athletically across all sports. And deliberations and conversations have been going pretty smooth, I will say. So there's plenty to be determined over the course of time, but thus far it's been good to report.
Perfect, thank you so much. We have not had a budget committee meeting. We do have one scheduled for November the 1st, if anyone is interested in coming. The agenda will be published soon. Soon, how about that?
Soon works.
Next is our Building and Grounds Committee. Mr. Davis, would you be so kind?
Sure. Yeah, and Mr. Saffy needs to get back in here.
Doing the waiver.
So what we're looking to do at this time is we've met to discuss, what the impact is of the two projects that we have currently in front of us. The auditorium at CCHS. There's been a public meeting held to raise the opportunity to talk through any concerns or questions and how that would be handled. It appears that we are in a position to present that to the board today and seek approval to send this to bid with the Uplands Design Group.
And thank you, Mr. Chairman, for coming tonight.
That is my understanding.
And do we need a motion and a second to present this?
We need a motion, and I think
Yes,
Mr. Davis just made a motion
I would like to, yes.
that we approve and send out for bid the CCHS auditorium and the South Cumberland School Addition.
I'll second that.
It doesn't need a second
doesn't
if
need
it
one?
comes out of
Okay.
committee.
Okay.
But thank you. I'll third it
Jump on in there.
if necessary. Any further discussion?
Next project is the South Cumberland School Addition. Again, the Uplands Design Group has went in and built the framework that will allow us to add the additional schools, the additional classrooms onto the schools. We have, again, feel really good about the opportunity it's going to do to eliminate, the temporary structures that the kids are currently in.
Yeah.
The classrooms are going to give them a better opportunity to be in a better learning environment. All the objections, I think, were raised. All the topics had been discussed. We're again at the same passage that we were with the auditorium. I'm looking to approve this also. So you're welcome to raise that motion if you'd like.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the plans and have it sent over for the bids.
It does not require a second since it came out of committee. Any further discussion? Any questions? No. I think we've covered
Yeah.
most of it.
Mr. Chamberlain's done an excellent
We've done,
job.
Yes.
yes.
Really
Yes, thank
appreciate
you.
you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
That being said, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So we're sending, is that what you need?
What I need for all the work. Thank you.
Thank you.
sir.
Thank you.
Let's get those bids rolling.
Yeah, that's right.
He's going to write them right now.
There you go.
I have one question, building and grounds wise, pertaining, circling back to the topic of removing as many portable buildings as possible. Do we have a number of how many portables are currently in the school system to date?
Ms. Kingston, can you help me with the number of current portable classrooms that we have in the county?
That we have students in.
Students in right now. Okay, we'll get that. I'll get that right to you as soon as we find out.
I could probably give you a portable count, but as far as students in, I don't know that.
Yeah, just the number of portables. I guess all data would be awesome. Do we have plans presented for the North School to be for those portables to be removed? And if we do, where
I
are
can get
they?
all that information to you. I'll have to get that to you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Do we have plans for?
I'll get that to you.
I think there's still students in them.
Okay. Moving forward, safety committee.
Okay, we have not had a meeting yet. That will probably be sometime in December or January, just depending on what's going on. But I would like to report that we, the Bikers Against Bullies did an invasion at South, and it was amazing.
Awesome.
And I would like to commend Mrs. Hall and Mr. Allen. They had the kids pumped up. They were ready.
So fun.
And they welcomed
So fun.
the Bikers Against Bullies. They welcomed all of them, and it was great. There is one planned for Crab Orchard Elementary on October 31st at 9 a.m. Anyone that wants to go, let's go. It was really great. And then they're gonna be presenting, I think, a bench at North, Elementary on, STEAM Night, which is the 18th of November, which is something else I'm very excited about. So that's mainly all that's going on right now with the safety committee, but, look forward to many things.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is the contract committee. We have not had a meeting. We have one scheduled for November the 1st. We're doing budget and contract back to back, because there are several contracts we need to approve. So next on the agenda is the chief financial officer's report.
So Miss Bray is doing an amazing job of working with me on the operations side. She has an extensive experience in that type of work, so she's been doing wonderful. So, Miss Bray?
One of the things I did want to follow up on the school audit, although I only have a draft, there were no findings. The findings from last year have been corrected. I have reviewed it, and I have reviewed many of things very similar to that, and it looks great, so hopefully we'll get the final and we'll sign off on it. We're good for another year. The bookkeepers do an amazing job. Since I've kind of stepped into this semi-role, I've had the opportunity to get to know a lot of them. They do a great job. They're a really good group of ladies, and they're a lot of fun to work with, and I commend them for that, because they go through a lot of paperwork and money and things, and it would be easy to make a mistake, but they're a very conscientious group, and I appreciate that. As far as the format, I didn't really change anything. As far as revenues, we're at about 18% for this time of year. That's about what I would expect. Now, when I pull this data, September wasn't actually fully closed, so there could be some differences here. Is there any questions on any of the revenue items?
I was just wondering, if we talked about sale of recycled materials. What do we recycle?
It's scrap metal that Mary goes around and collects, and she just takes it and hauls it
Go,
on.
Mary.
She has her little trailer, and she just makes her rounds. It's not Mary, but Mary.
I can see you doing it, Mary.
Well, it said sale of recycled materials, and I was wondering if that was computers or...
Well, now, we have another means to do that, but this is really just metal that we can take to the scrap place and get a little change for.
Thank you.
As far as expenditures, we're right at 20%, which there again, that's about what I would anticipate at this time of year. All of the different departments, I give them a detailed printout of this. If there's anything that I see that I have any questions about, I do my little circle on it. We have a conversation about it. But our departmental chair people, they do a really good job. They're very familiar with this, and they keep a pretty close eye on it. Is there any questions on any of this? If not, I'll move on to the best part. The sales tax revenue is running ahead of what's already budgeted, which is great.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. As a former board member used to say, buy local. Go to Chick-fil-A and Buc-ee's and all those good places, because that's putting money right in the school system. Is there any questions? Mr. Stepp, do you have the budget amendments?
I have the budget amendments. Thank you, Miss Bray.
Is there any questions on any of the budget amendments? I'll help fill those. If not, I'll let Mr. Stepp take it away.
Thank you, Miss Bray.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So on 18C, line 141, budget amendments, the first one is a grant that they said we got a year ago, and now we just got receipt of the money. So you can see the breakdown of that grant. And then the SPED IDEA general budget amendment is just reallocating resources to meet IDEA requirements, full-time teacher to a teacher assistant type moves. That's 18C.
Madam Chair, move to approve.
Yes, sir.
I'll second.
Okay. So we have a first and a second. I'm assuming to approve all three resolutions.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? I would like to ask just a couple of questions. On the SPED IDEA, we are decreasing expenditures for teachers for 102 and increasing for other salaries and wages.
So
How is that working?
that's to teacher assistant positions, homebound, life insurance, several different items.
Okay, but what about the 102 that we are decreasing? Did we not have those positions filled?
Ms. Holton,
We had to reallocate some positions that we weren't able to fill into assistant positions, and then also SLP, the school diagnostician. So this is the budget amendment from July. We've had some budget amendments, but then we had to void them. So basically, these are all the changes that we made from July to current to bring us up to date.
So this is cleanup?
This is clean.
correct.
Okay. That was, we usually do cleanup before, that's fine. And there was one more question that I had.
So on 18, well, sorry, go ahead.
That's okay.
We're not ready to move on.
Federal Tennessee All Corps budget, we did the same thing. We decreased assistance and then moved monies into supervisor or director.
Yeah, these were carryover funds, so you allocated the carryover funds into the budget
These were carryover funds?
for Tennessee All-Corps, yes.
Perfect, okay. It's only two questions I had.
What?
I know. I surprised myself. Any further discussion? This is a roll call. Ms. Stoll?
Yes.
Ms. Nichols?
Yes.
Ms. Hamby?
Yes.
Ms. Hale?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Ms. Stout?
Yes.
And Ms. Boston votes yes, so the resolutions are approved. So next on our agenda would be the consent agenda, and I will entertain a motion to approve.
Approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve and a second, the consent agenda. Any discussion? With no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Consent agenda is approved. Do we have any old business that anyone would like to discuss? Any questions from the media?
Just one. On October 12th, I believe there was meant to be a policy meeting, but it was canceled, and I was wondering if there was going to be another one scheduled at the end of the month.
November, it'll be November.
Okay, got it.
Thank you.
Got the policy?
Yeah.
I'll be here.
November 9th.
You're going to be with us, Anita.
November the 9th?
I think that's what it's the second Wednesday of,
Yeah.
yes, it's the day before we go to Nashville.
Oh, okay, okay.
Oh.
And it's like I'm sure.
It won't last long. The meeting will not last long at all.
Pat, you'll be gone for 4 days.
And Mr. Chairman, can we confirm the date for our next Board of Education meeting? Because I know we're off schedule a little bit because of the holidays.
It is December
The 1st.
1st. I know we combined November and December's meeting.
And we're gonna have food that night, so we'll be here at 5, right?
Yes, that meeting we will have food.
That's December, not November.
Yeah, we don't have a meeting in November.
Right.
Yes.
Other than policy.
If there's nothing further, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a
Adjourn.
motion to adjourn. Second his. I'll second his motion.
Chris made a motion to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Good meeting, ladies and gentlemen.